but whatever.
I was just looking to see if there was anything else, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to be the case.
No. I can hear that dog barking in your background.
You know, the dog is only one annoyance. I was hearing a bird chirping earlier. I'm like, really? A fucking bird?
Oh, I've been getting them too. Like,
They fly at night.
no, it's funny because I could tell that the strong have survived. I'll put it that way because the birds have quit hitting my windows on my house and my car. Because I had a good part of like at the beginning of spring when I got the car where my mirrors were just covered in bird poo. Like both sides. I'm like, what is going on? And then I get in the car, whack. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. They're pooping as they hit my window because they think I can fly through. And that's a good spot to start. Hello and welcome to ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Netcast. I'm Gregor Sprague.
And I'm Corey Scott.
For all info on this show, including show notes and subscription links, go to ElseNerds.com. And for other Galactic Netcast programs, go to gncast.com.
On ElseNerds, we will swear and we will spoil stuff. So you've been warned about both things.
So fuck off.
Fucking King is dead on Game of Thrones.
Actually, that was a brilliant scene.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense. The last two episodes of the season were just fucking amazing.
Yeah,
and
everyone has been saying how this season's been the best, and I stand by what Scott Johnson says, and it's because the book isn't out. Because this is the first season we've had where we don't have the book bitches going, this is not how it was done, you know.
I mean, they kind of, a lot of the stuff I think was in the books and there was preparation for it, but yeah, I mean, the knowledge being ahead of the books now is really going to change how people can react to the series, and I think that's okay. I think it's good so that we're all on the same page together and we can all enjoy it together or hate it together. And it doesn't matter if it follows what was intended from the novelizations at this point or not. And George will be able to say later on, oh no, they did that completely wrong. Here's the right way in the novels. But considering that he's still got 2 books to come out and there's only what they're estimating at 15 episodes left of the show, it feels like, I don't know, he's going to stretch those things really far in the books.
Yeah. And I mean, that's to be expected because, I mean, you know, if season 6 is supposed to be like book 6, The Winds of Winter, and then book 7 is supposed to be like season 7, that makes sense. You know, it's understandable, whatnot. But we're not going to talk about Game of Thrones anymore.
We're the only ones.
Yeah, we are the only ones. Sorry, I just want to make sure. Wait, what news stories did we pick here? But no, instead, let's talk Preacher, because where I love Preacher, the comic, even though I still have only read the first issue in the first book. I love that. It's just trying to get. I got so close this week to getting caught up and have read all the comics that I read, and I'm not reading a lot of DC. That's the thing. I'm not reading a lot of Marvel either, or Image. You know, I've cut back on a lot of those. I think I still am Marvel heavy, but whatever. Preacher has been renewed for a second season by AMC, and not only that, has gotten an extended order, or a typical, you know, AMC season order, where they will have 13 episodes set to air next year.
Yeah, and that's a good vote of confidence because, I mean, we're only 5 episodes in right now on the series so far, and while it's not doing Walking Dead numbers, and I've heard a few people say, oh, well, it's not doing as well as Walking Dead. Who the fuck expected it to do as well as Walking Dead? I mean, right off the bat, especially, it takes a while for these things to build an audience, and it takes a while to see what quality they're at and if they catch on. And I think it's doing very well for itself, just off the promise that it has gotten renewed already. And I'm excited for more of it. It's still, and it's a common complaint, and I understand it, it's very different from the comics. And Beatmaster actually mentioned something. I haven't watched the Sunday's episode yet. And he mentioned something that happens in it, and he's like, it's a little concerning that happened on the show. It really changes the dynamic of some of the characters. And I get that. And if I keep trying to treat it as an adaptation strictly, then I'm going to be disappointed. But all I'm doing right now is just loving the Preacher show. The differences makes me excited for it in a way that I wouldn't get to be otherwise, because I'd just be watching to see how well they got that page from the comic up to the screen. And now I get to see different takes on characters, brand new characters, and wholly different aspects of what still feels like a Garth Ennis story. If nothing else, it may not feel true to Preacher 100%, but it feels pretty accurate to Garth Ennis in a lot of ways. Not in every way, though, because there are different people working on it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that he and Steve are proud of having their names associated with, and ain't hurting nobody to make them some money.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. This, like I said, it's been really cool. I've really enjoyed it. I haven't seen this past week's episode yet, but you know, scheduling stuff has been extremely difficult with everything that I do. You know, with all the shows that I watch, and you know, the pickup of the British TV shows going on right now, almost enough to where I could do a British TV podcast, but who has time for that stuff?
How would you even come up with the title?
Yeah. But no, this is really cool. And there is a catch up marathon. We recorded this on Wednesday that is set for the first 5 episodes at 9 p.m. on Thursday, June 30th. I will be busy doing another podcast, so I will not be able to watch those.
If only there were technologies available to us that let us record TV shows as they play and we're not in the room.
Yeah. If only I had a remote control that could use such things. Sorry, that was a plug. If I show the remote enough times, I could write it off as a business expense.
I think you have to have an income based off of the business first. So Preacher season 2, it's a happening. Season 1 still going. If you haven't tried it so far, give it a look-see. It's been fun.
I just realized that. Wait, that means this Sunday is the last episode of Preacher for the season.
Was it only 6 episodes for the first season?
Yeah, because that's usually how AMC rolls. Is they will do 6 episodes for the first season, so therefore they're not losing a lot of money. But it also makes it very easy to get in on the show for the first season, and then have all this expected stuff afterwards. Because Walking Dead did it. I think Mad Men might have done it. I think Breaking Bad may have done it too. But it's it's just like this thing where you can do it this way, to where if it starts bombing, then you don't have to worry, and you can just be like, oh wait, we made this show. Like, what was that one, The Prisoner or whatever, that was like something starred Jim Caviezel before Person of Interest.
It was based off of the old series. That is a very good theory as to why they would only have 6 episodes in this season. Unfortunately for you, they have 10.
Oh, cool. Even better. Because that realization was like, wait, I am going to be missing Preacher quicker than I thought. But 10, I think 10 is more typical, but for cable shows for a first season, or for any season if you're on HBO. But no, this is cool. I'm excited. Yep. The next news is something that's still going to get me excited, but I don't know.
Feel these nipples.
Yeah. Because the platform is that the first look is out for the new Transformers series for adults, Transformer Combiner Wars.
Doesn't that just sound really iffy? Is like, it's Transformers for adults. Like, I don't know that that's the pitch that I want made to me. First of all, I think that they're all going to turn into sex toys, more than meets your vagina. But just in general, I don't need something shown to me and say it's for adults. Just make a good goddamn story, and if it's mature, let us know that it might not be for kids, with a rating system. But I think all cartoons can be for adults as well if they're just well written and well developed and acted and everything. Um, but they could be for all ages, including adults.
Yeah,
I don't know that
I think.
that's the pitch that I would go for.
Yeah, I think what and that's from the title from this Geek Tyrant. I almost said geeky rant because I didn't see the T there for a second. But I think that's what they're just the headline that they were going for. Um, but it's being made with Machinima. Um, so they do pretty good, but it's targeting the people who grew up with the show from the '80s, the series from the '80s, and you could tell that from the, uh, excuse me, from some of the characters that are in here.
We see a picture of Starscream,
Yeah,
who has been a fan favorite since at least the Transformers movie. And they mention characters like Devastator and Superion. So it's the classic Gen 1 Transformers.
yeah, and I mean this will be cool. Like I think to hit on the whole adult thing, I think it's only really adult in the fact that there's you're gonna see the violence as opposed to how anime typically handles violence if it's an all ages sort of deal, and it just sort of goes like and you see something else or you see the reaction or whatever it might be.
Well, I think maybe at the very least, it's when they shoot each other with their laser guns, they actually hit each other, as opposed to like the GI Joe thing of just 1,001 lasers and nobody hits nothing.
Or the stormtrooper thing,
Right? Which is just, yeah, that's the way the cartoons were in the '80s. But unfortunately, going back to Transformers the motion picture, is that when we got that raise in mature levels of the story, that's when we started seeing characters just die, and favorite characters just essentially get butchered up on the screen and cause my best friend's little brother to cry. And I ain't saying that we didn't tear up too, because maybe we did a little bit. But it was hardcore to see people like Ironhide and Optimus Prime get killed, just get outright killed in a way that you never would have seen on the cartoon series. And so I'm not necessarily looking for that kind of story. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but I don't want it to be the whole basis of just on giant scale slaughter of characters. I do like that they're introducing some new characters, and that includes some female characters, which is something that was long missing from the Transformers universe. They got one or two in Gen 2, and they even referred to one in the first generation. But we've got a new original character named Maxima and a female combiner hunter named Windblade. And the shots that they have of them in the article are pretty sweet. The animation looks good. And I've been waiting for something to happen with Transformers after they did the video games a few years ago, like the Fall of Cybertron and stuff, which included a lot of the Gen 1 characters. I wanted to see something at that level of production, because a lot of the Transformers cartoons the last few years have been, and I mean, I'm backtracking a little bit here, but they have been very kid-based in animation quality, and they haven't exactly been high-quality animation. And something we'll talk about when we get to nerding out is, you can make these things and make them look really good now. And you can feed the nostalgia and elevate what was originally there to a new level. And so that's what I'm kind of looking forward to seeing from this.
The other part to hit on is the fact that the show will be released in August on Go90, which I believe is a partnership thing headed up by Verizon. It's more mobile focused with the videos. It is free, which is cool. But the part that sort of I don't really get is that there will be a 4-episode prelude series on June 28th across Go90, YouTube, and Facebook. It's the YouTube and Facebook part that doesn't quite get me, because it's like like I see it all the time with Marvel. They post a little like 90-second teaser thing for their series that they have off the rack with, was it Comic Girl 15 um over on Go 90, and I'm like, well, why not just post the whole episode instead of this little teaser thing sort of deal? Why not? But you know, whatever. It's like, why do this sort of deal? And I've never really been interested in Go 90 because this stuff in there hasn't really interested me. But this might get me to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time ever hearing of Go 90, and honestly, I haven't even looked at Machinima before either. So part of the problem with this new content is finding it. You know, the search for these things is really hard, and it's the discovery aspect that's the advantage that TV still has. Is I go through my cable box and I flip through all my channels and I can see shit on, and I may not click on a bunch of the different shows that I've never seen or heard of before, but I do have the capability of just saying, oh, well, here's something that looks sort of interesting, and I can give it a shot. And this is, you have to go and browse, you have to put in an effort. And other than the fact that this is Transformers, I would have probably never heard of this website or this service before.
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be stuff there that I'm interested in too. But it's kind of like when Yahoo did the new season of Community, and they had another couple shows on there. And where did all those go?
Honestly, the whole thing, it had great content. It was just no one went there. Because Other Space was great. It was hilarious. I loved that show.
I enjoyed Other Space.
Community, was, it was arguable on that one. I enjoyed Community.
Oh, I liked the last season. I think that they did a good job, and it was just nice to have it. But it was nice to have it and have it be well written, well acted, even though characters had disappeared and new characters came in. But I think it still stayed true to the heart of what Community was.
Yeah. And then the other one, that Sin City Saints, I had never watched. But it was one of those things, like I was interested in what was coming next. Because of Community, I was keeping my eyes peeled onto Yahoo, in the news, not going to Yahoo because who would do that? But keeping my eyes peeled on as to what could be coming up next from Yahoo with their Yahoo screen thing. And then next thing I hear is, oh, they're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Sort of deal, which is unfortunate. The last bit of news is something's pretty cool. And I did not know of this beforehand, but this is the comic book Telos is to return next year as a 300-page graphic novel, 10 years after Mike Waringo died. This is pretty cool. I've never heard of this book.
All right, so
you told me this before, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, in the 90s, there was I want to say this is around the same time that Joe Mad was doing Battle Chasers, and we started to get some really great, beautiful, epic storytelling fantasy comics coming out. And so Todd DeZago, who was a writer on Spider-Man and had been doing a bunch of other stuff, teamed up with Mike, and Mike had worked on Spider-Man, worked on Flash, Impulse, a whole bunch of comics. These guys teamed up and they created their own book for Image, Telos, and it was really great. And unfortunately, Mike passed away suddenly. And Mike was this guy that was just hugely beloved in the industry by fans and by other creators. I'm friends with some guys in the Comic Book Diner, and they were friends with Mike, and they all looked up to him and loved him. And nobody ever says a bad thing about Mike. He's just tremendous guy. He was incredibly nice to everybody who came to his tables and met him. He was just really fantastic. And so it was a huge tragedy to just lose him like that. And obviously it's a tragedy to lose anybody that's beloved, but there's just certain people that you just kind of go, wow, that one really hurts. Dwayne McDuffie is like that too.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're gathering a bunch of different artists together, and they're doing this 300-page comic using Telos as a tribute to Mike's memory, which is really nice. And it includes the original 10-issue run by Todd and Mike themselves, and then it will be all this extra stuff that was outside of the miniseries and one shots, and with art by Mike and with art by a bunch of other creators who want to do this for him. On top of that, it also seems that they're going to be donating the proceeds for it to different animal charities. So it's not just like we're going to cash in, which I don't think anybody would accuse Todd or anybody of, but they're doing this for a cause as well, which I think is even extra special. Also, just in general, Todd Zago does a comic called The Parappanauts with Craig Russo, and I ordered the collections. I found it after it had already been coming out for a while. They were doing like the second or third series, and I found the collections online, and I went to order them, and it turned out to be directly from Todd. And Todd wrote me back when I was ordering them. He just kind of like chatted me up and asked me some questions. He's like, "Hey, how did you hear about it?" And just was really kind and warm. And I wrote him back. I'm like, "Well, I really appreciate you, stopping and talking to a fan." He's like, "Well, I'm talking to a friend," and he was just
so cool.
He was so great. And I mean, I'm friends with Craig, the artist on Parappanauts friends through Facebook and everything. They're just really fantastic people. And I think that's as much a tribute to Mike as anything is, because, the people that were closest to him are also the people that you look up to and you respect and you're a big fan of, because they're just really genuinely nice people in the industry. So Telos is a very fun, it was a beautiful book. I mean, just nothing could ever be undersold of Mike's work, but it's a nice, big, fun fantasy. It's got a bit of a pirate feel to it with
the art looks
tiger
great.
character.
Yeah, they have I think it's a cover in the article here.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks so cool. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm getting ideas for Minecraft, like on what I could build. And they're like, I've seen my friends do airships, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this. And people be like, well, where did you get that idea from? I designed it from Telos. God damn it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see this work get out there again and have people who've never heard of it get to find it. And then all of us getting extra content, and for it going to a good cause and being a celebration of a really awesome dude.
Yeah.
So,
and it's the other cool part about that with you saying that you sharing the story about Tom there. Was it Tom?
Todd,
sorry. That it's one of those things that I found with, the other people that I really enjoy listening to, like Scott Johnson, Brian Brushwood. They all say they don't have fans, they have friends.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. That's cool. Like, you have like I don't know enough people who do that, who are, have a successful thing, and then they're like, oh, you aren't my fans, you're my friends.
Yeah, and it's funny because it seems like the people who are the biggest successes are the ones who do that, because you want to you glob on to people who are good-hearted, and you want to support their work more. You want to be around them more. It makes you feel better when your money is going to somebody that you would be like, I could really hang out with this person.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Doesn't hurt that they're also really good creators.
Yeah. And we'll have all those links in our show notes. And now it's time for nerding out. And did you, I don't know if you had one or not, if you came up with one or not, but we're going to talk about one that this was Corey's other option for last week. Got me to watch the whole thing in a week. Like, I kid you not, it like every day at work, because I had also coincidentally got through watching the IT Crowd for the 99th time.
Still haven't finished the second season of Daredevil yet, though, have you, Dick?
Because my lunches are either an hour or a half hour. So I usually go with half-hour shows because it's not like uninterrupted.
Right.
It's like, oh, you're the key holder.
If only you could pause an episode and come back to where you left off later.
I don't like doing that.
We're going to have a show about technology at some point because it seems like you're kind of a Luddite.
No, it's not that I'm a Luddite. It's like, hey, if I'm watching something, I want to sit down and watch it. The rest of the world could fuck off.
Right.
Sort of deal. You can ask my mom that. I get upset when she's like, Greg, will you come here? Watch a Top Gear, woman. Let me watch this. Or I'm watching a movie. Sort of deal.
Just getting less shit about the Top Gear thing, I think, at this point. But
yeah.
Anyway, so the show that you watched
is Voltron, Legendary Defenders on Netflix. You had talked about this after the show last week with Evan, with myself, Evan, and I think Beat was there. And it sounded so cool, like from watching this show. And you had mentioned all the people who are involved in their voice work wise. And then I looked up on Wikipedia and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a cool lineup of voice talent. You have Stephen Yeun plays one of the main characters. Jeremy Shada, who's Finn. Yeah, Finn. I'm like, I was singing the theme song in my head because that's usually how I can tell them apart. But I mix it up. He's Finn from Adventure Time. You have Norman Reedus in an episode.
Bex Taylor Klaus, who was in the Killing in the third season, and then went on to be on Arrow, hanging out with Sarah Lance for a little while, and then is now on the Scream series on MTV. And she plays Pidge.
And the cool thing, I'm going to head on Pidge here in a second. Sad choice of words there. Josh Keaton sounds really familiar to me. Like, sounds like a person I've heard before, who plays Shiro. And then Tyler Labine, who I fell in love with almost immediately when he was on Reaper, and followed him throughout many of the things that he does.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah, that's the one that I haven't seen yet.
Oh, really?
Yes. Oh. I had it for a while from one of my mom's ex-boyfriends as a pilot thing, and or not a pilot, a pirate thing that he had gotten or whatever, and then it got lost going from one computer to another sort of deal.
I do believe it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And when you finally get the opportunity to watch it, you can also listen to the episode we did of Podcast of Terror here on the Galactic Netcast at gncast.com/pod. I was just
going to say, I was going to mention that because I was going to give you that plug, because if you guys had asked me like 4 months ago, however, before you guys did Tucker and Dale versus Evil or Shaun of the Dead, thanks for basically doing the episodes of all the horror movies I've seen already, you dick.
Well, hey, Carrie is the one who suggested both of those films and Zombieland. So you just need to get in front of her.
Yeah, exactly. Which I just thought of another one that I did too. But anyways, where was I going with that? But
Tyler
no,
Labine.
Yeah, Tyler Labine, like I followed him from Reaper, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's so great. And then he'd get a show, and I'm like, this is awesome. Oh, I got canceled. Damn it. Comes in and do another show. Oh, this is awesome. Got canceled. Damn it. Sort of deal.
Yeah, Sons of Tucson was one of those Fox shows, and it was like, really? We're doing this one? Okay. And then he was on that CBS show with the guy who fucked the pie.
Yeah, Jason whatever his name is, I can't think of his name. But no, yeah, so I mean, like, anyways, I don't want to get too involved here on tell us a
little bit about the story.
So the story is the main from the pilot, did that seem like it was for you because you watched the original? Seemed like it was close to the original?
Similar, and there were things that I wasn't expecting them to do that were in the original. Like some of the things that are the sillier aspects I didn't expect to happen, like the mice in the castle with the princess. I was like, really? We're gonna get the mice again? But then it's like, okay, well, then we got the mice again. It's like when they did the um, the Thundercats cartoon a couple years ago, which is actually pretty good, but a lot of the characters didn't act the same. But in the first couple episodes of Thundercats, they meet these robot bears, and I'm like, they're not going to do anything like the robot bears again. And I don't remember them actually bringing those back, but they did an episode that was almost as bad and annoying with the characters that it was just very evocative of the robot bears. The way this episode went, wasn't the same cheese factor as what I remember growing up. There were things that they used that it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe they actually put that in here, but it felt very modern. It felt very secure in being a smartly written and still humorous show for today, while doing an homage to the original series as we remember it from the 80s.
Yeah. So the main, and I'm gonna add Josh Keaton, who plays Shiro, was in Batman the animated series. He did a voice on there, but then he did where was it? Oh, he did Hal Jordan and Green Lantern the animated series. That's where immediately where I picked him up from.
Yeah,
So, wait a
and
minute, he did,
I don't think you've mentioned Rice Darby yet.
no, I was getting to that. But yeah, Reese Darby is in there. He plays where is it? Reese Darby. He plays Koran, who's very much the comic relief and is awesome in there. You know, it's so the studio who does the animation is Studio Mirror. And you'll know them if you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra, and you could tell in the style that it's done that way, that it's, that it has, it all looks the same because a lot of it's the same animators. And so he sort of has the trope of, oh god, I'm blanking on the name of the character from Legend of Korra, who is the builder.
I've never seen any of the Avatar Legend of Korra stuff.
Well, our 40 viewers will be able to tell, but he was the inventor, and voiced by a very popular actor, who I cannot think of either right now, and I don't want to Wikipedia because it's just a Wikipedia wormhole. But no, the summary is that you have this empire that is that has taken over the whole universe, with the exception of like some like small little colonies. And the first episode, you're at this base where you're following Lance, and you're following Lance, Pidge, and Hunk as they're going through training, and some shenanigans ensue. They meet up with Shiro, who crash lands on back to Earth after being kidnapped, or space napped from and was held in prison. And you've all this stuff you find out later. I'm staying away from spoilers for this because Corey's only seen the first episode, and it's one of these things that, like, especially one that it's great with how they did this, and the Wikipedia page sort of spoils it as well, but with how things play out in here, it's really fun, really great. The animation is awesome because they mix so perfectly the traditional cartoon animation with CGI.
Yeah, I mean it's this is what I was talking about earlier with the Transformers one, is that when you look at these now, it's not going to make you feel like, oh, they really screwed up. Like the animation when I was growing up was great. You go back and watch those old cartoons. The animation itself it had something there, but it was still kind of shoddy. Like a lot of the stuff was repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't always move smoothly. Sometimes they would bump into each other. Sometimes they would just randomly change colors. But this takes everything that you remember in your heart of the show, where you've built it up to be better than it ever was, and it actually improves upon that. It looks stunning.
Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned, it's only 11 episodes, and the 11th episode is so great in how it's done. My only problem is it feels like a Marvel Events comic, because you have all this stuff and then they cram all the action, or a lot of action and stuff into the end of the book, sort of deal. This had that same thing with them doing, with them getting to the Zarkon Empire, or to, to do the things that they got to do, and I'm like, oh, okay, that seems um a little forced in a way, but still brilliant. Like, I enjoyed the whole episode, the whole series, or the whole season, I should say, and I cannot wait for season 2. It's gonna be awesome. Um, there's not much more that can be said with that, to be honest.
No, it's a really solid show. It's one of
Yeah.
those things that you'll be glad if you check it out. And I didn't even really know too much about it going in until it just suddenly showed up on Netflix one day. I think I remember hearing that it was going to happen, but I didn't think a lot about it. I didn't expect this kind of quality out of it.
Well,
Not like Netflix is doing shoddy material anytime, but I just wasn't sure that, especially going into animation, that this is something we were going to get that wasn't pre-existing.
yeah, and the interesting thing is that they let the people take their time. It's not like I think they learned their mistakes from, what was it, that Turbo Fast and the King Julian show that they had, where they got on cord killers and frame rate when they were still with Twit. Emails from people who are working on the product saying, yeah, we're busting this out as fast as we can. That's why you're seeing the episodes go up in 5-episode chunks.
Yeah.
Sort of deal. They're going, all right, you could get the season done, because the story matters so much. It's not like, a show, like a kid show where you can just, oh, blah blah blah, we can air them out of order if we need to. No, you do that, you're gonna miss so much information. You're gonna be getting information before you need to get that information, and it's no bueno. It's not gonna be a good show. But yeah, check it out. It's on Netflix. Netflix everywhere, I believe. So wherever you're listening at in this world. Do you got a nerding out, or do you want to go to our discussion point?
Let's go to the discussion point.
Okay. So a couple of things that I've been watching over this past week is this big new revival of old game shows on ABC. And I actually thought about this one. This is actually our first discussion point that we had where we're not basing this off of an article. But I wanted to talk about these shows because, well, Corey, you're older than me, so you've seen these shows, at least in some of the newer revivals that they had done.
Well, I am much older than you, so
yeah.
The game shows I grew up with were things like Hit Rock with Stick and What Is That Burning Thing in the Sky? Will It Kill Us? Those were my day. So, no, of course, in some ways, we have a connection to one of these, which is the match game. Just strictly because Dick DiBortello from Twit and from Mads Maddest Writer and from the Gizwiz with OMG Chad, he, of course, wrote for the match game for a long time, and he still plays the match game every Saturday after Leo goes off the air. He goes and he does the questions with Alex. So, I mean, we kind of come into it with a little bit more love than I think a lot of other recent people would.
And that was like, I saw that, I'm like, oh, cool. And I remember hearing about it, but then I looked through the credits. Like, I watched it online the next day on the Comcast Xfinity thing, and I paused after like it was like I was trying to find a boob, sort of deal. Like I'm a 13-year-old boy trying to find a boob by hitting pause and play on Titanic or whatever, just so I can get that great glorious shot. But I was doing it to see if, one, if they had writers, and two, if Dick DiBartolo wrote for Match Game.
He said so far on his Facebook page that no, he is not writing for the current incarnation of the show.
Yeah,
but he's excited to see the show happening, and he's still doing his match game stuff on his own. So, I think he's looking at it like a fan.
Yeah, and I've got three on here because I'm leaving one out for distinct reasons. And the one I'm leaving out is the what was it, Celebrity Family Feud. Like, because and they include that one in there, but I'm like, no, because Family Feud's still been on, and it's not so much a reboot of the old one, except for the fact that they have the celebrities posing or whatever.
Well, it seems like weren't they doing Celebrity Family Feud last year
Yeah,
anyways?
yeah, they did it last year, but so you got Match Game, To Tell the Truth, and $100,000 Pyramid. Um, Great shows, all hosted by people who can do great black voices. I say it like that because Alec Baldwin does a phenomenal Tracy Morgan.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't realize that was a precursor.
No, well, I figured I'd say it because you got Anthony Anderson hosting To Tell the Truth, Michael Strahan hosting $100,000 Pyramid, and then Alec Baldwin hosting Match Game. And but no, and I enjoyed all of them, and like it was like I was watching the Game Show Network when I first got the expanded cable, and I had access to the Game Show Network, and I was watching these repeats of the original Dick Van Dyke $100,000 Pyramid, and the original To Tell the Truth, I think also hosted by Dick Van Dyke, and
Dick Cavett.
oh, Dick Cavett, that's right, and then the original Match Game, and
Now,
like especially
to tell the truth, I think was originally hosted by Groucho Marx.
yeah.
Or maybe that's not it. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen the original.
Yeah. But I can't. Did I don't know, but no, and this is cool, and this is something that I think we've been yearning for. Um, Gene Rayburn, Ross Schaefer, Michael Berger, and then um, Alec Baldwin hosts it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I said To Tell the Truth, which I don't think
Yeah.
was hosted by Groucho Marx either. I think I was wrong on that.
Oh, To Tell the Truth. Sorry, I had Match Game up there. Hold on. There we
But
go.
yeah, I mean, Alex Trebek hosted at one point in 91.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of these things that I feel like this is what game shows have been missing, like the whole game show genre especially with network TV, because like the 90s came, or the 2000s came, and we had To Tell the Truth with John O'Hurley, but that was the sort of the end of things.
And it was the daytime stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the primetime aspect that really changes it. It makes it more like a bigger production. And it's not like they haven't been trying to do these things. They've been trying to do game shows for the last several years. The celebrity game that they do over on NBC, hosted by Jane Lynch.
Hollywood Game Night.
Yeah, Hollywood Game Night. Not far from this. When you go backwards, I mean, the big resurgent for these primetime game shows that usually would happen in the summertime to fill in things, you go back to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Regis Philbin, and then it got passed over to daytime TV when he stopped doing it. What was the one with Howie Mandel with the briefcases?
Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal.
And that's sort of where I feel like things have changed, because we had the trivia, you could sit there and play at home game with these things, and laugh when Betty White asks a risque question, and because she's 93 years old or however old Betty White is, or telling Mike Tyson to shut up, which I'm sitting there going, man, Mike Tyson's gonna get knocked out by an old woman. And yet here, like, we could have had this all for this whole time, but yet the executives decided they wanted to go the reality TV game show route, or with stuff like Fear Factor and all these horrible pieces of shit that we had afterwards.
Well, they're just different shows. I mean, they're different styles of shows. I think there's something to be said for having the classics. There's something to be said for having people who are entertaining beyond them. And you're right, you can't beat Betty White, even if you are Mike Tyson. And I also think that what some of those shows were missing, like Deal or No Deal, was that there wasn't much of anything for the audience to feel as a participant in. You know, it's just, all right, I choose a briefcase, and then it's back and forth as to whether or not I got the right briefcase. Well, that doesn't challenge me sitting at home. I'm just waiting to see if you won any money or you go home like a fuck nut with $20. I want things that I can be involved in. I watch Jeopardy almost every night because I find it can still be challenging. I watch Wheel of Fortune, but it's, I mean, other than solving the puzzle, you have to sit there and deal with them spinning the wheel for 90% of the time. And it's like, well, I don't give a fuck about the wheel. Just give me some puzzles to solve. So yeah, it's the perfect storm of making these things work. And did they pick the right people to do it? And it seems like they did. It seems like they picked the right time, because during the summer is the perfect time to do this. People are starved for something that's going to entertain them right now. Otherwise, it's reruns and the typical summer shows, which is everybody's having sex on a beach somewhere. Or something that could actually be, you know, family friendly, fun, and make you think a little bit, which is what this is.
Yeah. And I don't know, I really enjoy these. And I think even the variations that they have on them now, like with To Tell the Truth, they have they give the celebrities who are on there, and oh no, sorry, I've only seen the first two. I hadn't seen the episode with Liza Schlesinger and the latest episodes. I think they're when it came out today. But they give the tweet a lie segment at the end with the celebrity who couldn't spot, you know, who was telling the truth on the show. And it's interesting to me because, you know, that's an interesting new modern concept. Same thing with, well, actually, I think Match Games, when it stays pretty true to the past incarnations, but then $100,000 Pyramid, where they have the Mystery Seven. I don't know if that's on, if that was on the original stuff or was using past incarnations, but it's a great addition. You know, they've modernized the stuff enough to where it's not, they're not doing these things to where it's like, oh, well, we got to make it sexy to where all these answers are, you know, going to be like risque or whatever, like Celebrity Family Feud has been. You know, especially with like last year, 'cause I haven't seen any of it, because last year's is sort of like, all right, this is a little too corny, especially with the people you got on here, sort of deal. But I
The
don't
other
know.
thing is that they're smart in that they are doing several different shows, because often what happens is they get one of these shows and it catches fire for a little bit and they just play it all week. And so every spot that they have to fill for the week during the summer, they're putting in that show again, and it burns people out on it. So I think having some variety, not only of the game shows themselves, but also of the hosts, helps.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And honestly, what I say is next year, bring on Press Your Luck.
Oh man, I
Because
love Press Your Luck.
yeah, I loved Press. I think they did a reboot of it, and that's the one I fell in love with because that was what was on when I was growing up.
Yeah, they did Whammy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I think anything else you want to say about this?
No, I mean, just it. I'd rather watch this than fucking Uncle Buck. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I watched the pilot and for Uncle Buck, and it was like, okay, so that's a thing.
So that just happened
Yeah.
again.
So before we go, I got a couple questions for you, our studio audience. Our studio audience. Watching too many of the game shows there, Greg. But for the listening audience here, I got two questions for you. What's your favorite part of the show, and what do you guys want from our podcasts? And you might be answering this back right now, in which case I applaud you and I say thanks for the commitment. But take a break, and you can leave us a voicemail at 805-328-3966, or you can email us mail@elsenerds.com. I get all the mail. Corey gets all the mail. We may have some Google things in there that we could take advantage of if we were thinking about it. Or you can message us on Twitter. We're at ElseNerds on there for the show. You got the Galactic Netcasts at Galactic Netcasts on all the social media stuff. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, Vine. If we don't have them, I think I might need to talk Dave into getting those just so we have the name held. Or you can email or tweet us directly. Our producers, Beatmaster is at Beatmaster80, Evans at Mr_Fusion. I'm at that Gregor. Corey's at Don't Ask Comics. That's all that stuff that you can use for feedback. And also, hey, we got bills that we have to pay. Well, we do, but that's why we have jobs. But there's the whole, Galactic Netcast doesn't exist without you guys who are supporting us. And and if you want to know how to support us, you can go over to our Patreon page over at gncast.com/support. There's amazing stuff over there that we give you. At least I think it's amazing, like access to our Slack channel, extra episodes, newsletter stuff, all of that sort of deals. And also, if you're like, I don't want to do that necessarily, we have an affiliate link with Amazon. So if you click that link and you go through and whatever you buy on Amazon, portion of that goes to Dave, because Dave, hey, we're not wanting to make money. Dave's not wanting to make money with this. He just wants to keep the ship afloat. He's been paying out of pocket for a good long time. And so, hey, help him out.
And the Slack channel has actually been opened up for everybody. So all you have to do is go to gncast.com/sign up, and you can get access to the Slack channel so you can talk to us during the shows or other times. We're usually in there throughout the day making dumb comments. And you can also get our newsletter at the same time. It doesn't put you into a mailing list for anybody else. It just gives you some content from Galactic Netcasts in your mailbox, lets you know what shows we've had already, what shows we might have coming up, any other events we might be doing. It's just a way for us to be more involved with you and for you to be more involved with us.
Exactly. And the last thing to be said is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you guys next week.
Or else.